I wanted to talk more about what the Democrats did not discuss last week about how the U.S. economy and the U.S. government works. It is the top 20% of taxpayers who pay 9 out of 10 U.S. federal tax dollars. The U.S. government already has a lot of socialist features. Let's show the viewer what the American taxpayer knows they're paying for in the U.S. government. But, you know, we didn't hear this kind of debate last week at the Democrat convention. It feels like the Republican convention that there's an open, transparent debate about what is really going on in U.S. government and what it takes to pay for all of that. Joe Biden is basically, they rarely talked about that last week, sort of like it was about as rare as talking about the Me Too movement last week at the convention last week. So, you know, the Democrat Party, you know, Mr. Mayor, the Democrat Party for the first time is talking more and more about paying fair share. That started under Obama. And, you know, the Democrat platform has totally changed. It's a far different party than it was under JFK, Dick Gephardt, Bill Bradley, even Bill Clinton. Your reaction?
Oh, my God, absolutely true. I mean, first of all, fair share. I mean, people over 400,000 pay more than their fair share. They pay most of the taxes. But in any event, fair share is a basic socialist principle, which kind of justifies Obama's comment that whatever the heck he was trying to say, he was trying to say that Bernie and Biden are not so far apart. And I think the problem with Biden is not so much what he believes, because I don't think he really believes anything. He's changed his position on abortion. He's changed his position on the 1994 crime bill, which is his only accomplishment. I mean, he'll do whatever the people around him say to do. And now he's weaker than he used to be. He was always a panderer. Can you imagine what he's going to be like now that he's suffering from cognitive impairment? He'll just do anything they tell him to do.
Okay,
he can't do the computation. He can't possibly do the computation.
Understood. Mayor, how is President Trump going to unify the country? How is President Trump, again, going to unify a very divided, fractured voter base? How is he going to do it?
I think he's got to do it based on what he can do for the economy, how he can make the country safer. I don't think we've yet absorbed how dangerous things are right now. You look at Portland, you look at Chicago, it's starting to move into the suburbs now, in Portland and the suburbs. So this is a dangerous time that we're in. Crime is going up in my city at a faster rate than it ever has in its history. Crime is going up in Chicago at a faster rate. I mean, there were another 61 shootings in Chicago last weekend, 47 shootings in New York,
okay.
And Philadelphia is not far behind. So I think the American people's desire for domestic tranquility is eventually going to be the number one thing. And there's no question there that Donald Trump, who's supported by every single police organization in the world, is far better equipped to keep this country safe than Joe Biden, who was silent completely on all the damage being done in his Democrat cities. I mean, 90% of the damage is going on in Democrat cities, and he doesn't say anything about it? Thank you.
All right. Mayor Giuliani, thank you so much for joining us.
Our country's elite universities are bowing to China and its takeover of Hong Kong. This is an incredible story from the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal reporting that they found universities, including Princeton University's Harvard Business School, University of Pennsylvania, are planning things like secret codes and anonymous online chats in an effort to shield Chinese students from discussion on politically sensitive topics about China. Doing this in the United States. The schools fear that some of their students might be prosecuted by Communist China under its new national security law, but not one of them that I'm aware of has said a word in protest of China's takeover of Hong Kong or its aggression around the globe. Joining us tonight is Sebastian Gorka, host of the Salem radio program America First, author and former strategist to President Trump. Seb, I don't know, when we have universities pulling this kind of nonsense, it really does make you wonder what we're in for.
Truly stunning news. It's not bad enough, Lou, that we have faculty members, researchers being arrested at Ivy League institutions for how they're helping out communist China. It's not bad enough that we have millions of dollars flooding into America to set up propaganda institutes, these so-called Confucian institutes across academe. Now, they are kowtowing to a communist regime. What next when it comes to a history class? Are we going to see professors delete parts of communist Chinese history that the regime in Beijing might find embarrassing, the tens of millions killed in the name of Karl Marx and Mao Zedong. This is America. Universities are meant to educate based on the truth, based upon investigation. This is a true outrage.
It is indeed, and the idea of academic freedom. Think about this, so just as a little brain test here. When's the last time you heard anyone from academia mention anything called academic freedom? Academic freedom. Can you think of the last time you heard it? Or watched a significant report on television or in a newspaper outlet or website? You just don't hear it because it isn't happening on our universities and our college campuses.
The sad truth is that these are no longer institutions of higher learning. Sadly, we conservatives have allowed them to become indoctrination mills for at least 2 generations. Let's recall what happened in 1968, 1969. The Weather Underground, people like Bernardine and Bill Ayers, tried to effect a Marxist revolution in America with the Chicago Days of Rage and the SDS. They failed. But did they retire? Did they become poets? No. They became tenured professors in Chicago. They became high school teachers. And what did we do? Nothing. The delayed reaction of homeschooling was a Band-Aid on a sucking chest wound. And now we've woken up to the fact that the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation, in its latest survey, Lou, found that 72% of American millennials would prefer to live in a socialist or communist America. That happened in our universities and high schools.
Yeah, those universities, those colleges, obviously dedicated more to indoctrination than education. And again, academic freedom is well, it's a banished word and expression as well as right, unfortunately. The Confucius Centers you mentioned earlier, 75 of them still on university campuses and some K through 12 schools. Why are we not simply dealing with it instead of giving them an order to divest? Why aren't we using the power of the federal government to remove them from universities and create significant consequences, and I mean right now, for continuing a support and partnership with those institutes that are nothing more than propaganda operations and bases of operation for surveillance and most likely espionage.
I'm making this my personal mission. On Friday, the president signed my